Hey everybody, it's Chris from Chappell Customs here again. I have a local customer that brought me his CB554 1977. We were going to do a flat seat. He wanted me to cut it and do a hoop. But we were talking while he was here and we're looking at some molds that I already have. So I think we're going to do some sort of frame fitting, no modification required, cafe or almost a tracker style seat. I haven't sorted it out yet, but literally just got it yesterday, so we're gonna maybe make something from what I already have, maybe modify something, make a new mold. I'm not really sure yet, but I'm gonna take this little tab off and this little tab off, just bend it out of the way basically, so I can get something to sit kind of flat on here. These are just little holder looms. They're not really structural, so they could easily be bent down or cut off. He wants me to remove the stock seat mounts just for looks, but I'm gonna make the seat hopefully without removing anything, and this can be cut off later if he wants to make it all pretty. But let's try to make something cool for this bike that hopefully just pops right in and uses the stock mounts. That's the idea, and then you guys will have a direct replacement seat for these CBs. And well, let's get started, see if it works. I made this one for one bike my brother was building. It was a one-off. So I made one seat out of it and I never finished the mold, but now it doesn't look like much, obviously. This is not the finished mold. This is just the beginning of making a mold. And when it's all done, it would be all vacuum formed, one piece solid, you know, one solid piece of finished ABS. I had some foam in here and it kind of glued itself. I just want the cowl for now, because literally if I took the XS400 idea, attached a cowl to the back, put the whole thing on the mold making machine, I might be able to make one, but I'd have to finish this mold completely solid all the way to the bottom of the table so this sits flat, or the plastic will just get sucked right under and you'll never get it off, right? So with this cowl just sitting on, I had to push the plastic fender down though, just because I want it to sit on this part with the two holes, right? I need to get this in a nice spot where it's gonna sit perfectly on the frame. Hold on. Yeah, so somewhere in there. And then this literally is sitting on the frame. So I could add two studs that go down into the holes, and maybe we could just reach up under and put on a nut. But just the cowl by itself kind of looks like a tracker. That's what he's going for, so maybe we'll keep working at it. Actually, I gotta tweak this a little bit. I was thinking about it and I had it sitting flat on the frame, but it needs to actually sit up higher on that mold. So I need to try to get this angle to be flat as well. So I just gotta tweak this, and it's hard because it's already riveted together, but I just gotta bend it a bit more on the edge there. I gotta try to get that angle when this is sitting flat to be almost flat here, because that's where the bolts are gonna go. Yeah, I think that might work. It'll be tricky to cut, but okay, I got the ABS nice and hot. I'm gonna put on 2 pairs of gloves and try to stick this on the frame. I'm just trying to get a basic shape, if it works. Let's see. Hot, hot, hot. Gonna mold it right over that inner fender as well. I'm gonna trim it, and then I'm gonna heat it in areas just to mold those areas. The idea was, now that I have the basic shape with the frame built into it, I can trim this up on the shape of the frame, set it on top of one of my other molds, and then vacuum form over both pieces. So I'll have this shape built into the actual shape of a seat. And then the back won't be this mess. It'll be cut off, and I'll try to have the actual seat come out. The shape of the foam on this is obviously gonna have to be more of a two-step deal, but if that works, this ain't going anywhere. It's solid as a rock, just sitting on the frame, and it's not even bolted down yet. So it might work, it might not, I don't know. That's why I'm doing maybe 2 or 3 seats here. We'll see what happens. I just trimmed this thing up a bit more, actually. All I really need is the inner fender and the frame shape. So I'll put this like that. What's gonna happen now is I'm gonna take this, stick it on top of a existing Honda style mold. You see where I'm going here? So once we mold this, whatever that thing needs to be, it will all be one piece with the shape built into it. I gotta support this with something and make it actually look proper, but it would be a pan, looks something like this when it's all done, but we won't know until we try it. Let's see. Okay, so I got the mold kind of rigged up. I put the wood under it to hold it. I added an extra piece. This is not the final product. What I need to do is essentially make 2 of these. One so I can cut it up, test fit it back on the bike, and another one that if it works, I can actually flip it inside out and make a solid casting of the inside of the shape. So I'm just looking to make the basic shape right now. So I gotta bolt this down and try pulling one and test it on the bike first. And if it works, we're that much closer for the flat seat. Cafe seat's still coming. Okay, screwed down, shouldn't go anywhere. Now we wait. Okay, so this is the first try. We will see. Just gotta watch the pressure. I don't want it to go too tight back there. Okay, so that's the idea. I gotta cut this out, so give me a second. Like that, yeah. This is a rough cut. Let's see what happens here. Where are we at here? There's the back. Oh, where do we want it? I think we got it. So there's the pan without cutting anything off yet. I'm gonna actually probably just have a little bend in the pan right here. But even with that hinge on it still, it actually fits if I cut it thin enough on the edges. I mean, this, I'm gonna cut this off anyway because he doesn't want it there, but essentially you wouldn't have to, right? And same on the other side. Once this is pulled down, it actually doesn't even touch. But this is so far no modifications other than moving the little tab that was on the side here and that little tab that was up front. So it's all gonna be in the shape of the foam now for this seat. So I'm just gonna take a drill bit and I'm gonna just mark up underneath the 2 marks so I can put the holes in for now. Okay, I just realized this little weld pinched stamped steel was hitting the bottom of the pan. So all I did for now was just cut a couple holes to relieve it. I'm gonna add a piece to the mold so it's not touching. These would be studs that stick out from the bottom of the seat pan. Well, I haven't done anything. I just bolted one down and it actually pulled the seat right down. So I think that's it. Just got to fix the mold in the back corner there and then figure out a foam shape and a front hook for the seat to hook under the front of the frame. Making a piece for the front seat hook that's going to hook under the frame. I modified the mold. I added the little reliefs in the back for the frame to fit over, and then this is going to get attached here and stick under the front of the frame right around here. It's going to hook under there, and the two bolts are going to line up right there. I got one layer of foam on there. I'm going to add another layer, and I'm going to try to shape it to something. It's too thick right now, but I gotta check it and see how thick it needs to be. This is just the rough foam cut, obviously. So I don't know what to do with the shape yet. This is the foam's too big too. I didn't cut it to the size of the pan yet. I have to trim it properly, and I still got to shape it so it looks like an actual seat. But it almost kind of has a cafe bump in the back. But I don't know if you'd want to sit back here. So maybe I will do a passenger pad. I'm not sure yet on this one. I don't like it. It's too thick. It looks weird. Except it's not really thick here anyway, so you wouldn't want to sit there. So I think I'm just going to get that off and do it the other way. I didn't like that first one, so I just did a second one. Just trying to shape it. It looks more like this. Well, this has a layer of that other foam as well. It's a 1/2 inch thick. It's a closed cell foam. Very firm. These are little foam shaping tools. It looks kind of like a cheese grater on this side. Takes a lot of foam off really quick. You can also sand it after if you need to. Sometimes I use the big belt sander. Kind of looks like something for now. So right now it's just sitting there. Kind of looks like a little bit of a cafe seat, but I left it thick here so you could actually sit here if you had to. I'm also making a full cafe seat with a plastic back. That'll be solo for sure, but you could, if you had to, put 2 people on this. The guy I'm building this for is pretty big, so I had to make this a little bit probably further back than I might normally do it, but once it's all upholstered, I gotta still finish the shape here, but the basic idea is like that for now. I'm working on the other mold right now. It's the cafe seat version with the cowl back. So it's going to be hollow under here, and the seat should kind of line up to that stock brace back here. But the issue is I'm just using some stuff that I had, but the seat curved up, so I need to make the mold continue all the way to the table, or when I form the plastic, it'll undercut and it'll suck under the seat and I'll never get it off. So what I have to do is I have to build it up with something, cardboard for now, and tape it all together. I'm going to fill this with fiberglass and resin and make this one continuous mold that goes all the way, hopefully, to the vacuum forming table, kind of like this. So when it's done, I can suck down over it. I got to trim all the stuff off later, but that's where I'm doing now. The other seat's close, but I haven't finished it yet because I'm still working on maybe 2 other ideas for the foam shape on the flat style seats. But cafe seats coming up. It's going to be awesome. So the idea is now I just realized I had a bunch of this left, which is Hydrocal. It's like a plaster, like a dental plaster almost. So if you mix this with water, it turns into a rock basically when it's done. So I was thinking, now that I've got it kind of somewhat level, I'm gonna level it out. The idea is I need to fill this cavity with something solid, either fiberglass or this. I was just thinking about it, and I have this left, but the only problem with this stuff is it's not sticky. So if you add anything else in here, it doesn't actually stick to it. So thinking about it, but I might use that just to fill it up real quick, stuff this with a bunch of just junk, basically wood, scraps and stuff to take up less of that stuff. You need a lot of water to make that stuff work, and it looks like a lot, but it doesn't make that much actually. So anyway, that's the idea. We got to make a solid flat mold. I got to level this out. So if I fill this, it's going to actually be level when it's done, but you'll get the idea here in a second. I was looking at this and I got all this scrap on the ground, which is chunks of plastic and other stuff from when we cut these seat pans out. I'm just going to fill it with this, dude, and then I'm going to put fiberglass resin in there and let it all kind of melt together into one solid lump. At least that way it'll stick together. The Ultracal or the Hydrocal dries kind of dry, so it won't stick to anything I put in it. So anyway, that's the idea. I'm gonna try to do that for now. I'll probably finish the resin up tomorrow. I'm gonna fill this with all the crap, pour a bunch of resin and stick it all together, and it'll be solid as a rock when I turn it around and I vacuum form on this. It's not gonna squish down to the table at least, right? So let's see what happens. I need this to be level on the table, so I'm going to just use a bunch of junk and a bunch of resin. I'm gonna fill it just to make it strong, and I have no idea if it's gonna work. They probably just melt this stuff, but it's not, you're not gonna see it. It's just there to support the actual mold on the big vacuum forming table. Back to the flat style mold. So this is the one I made. I'm gonna have to fiberglass this also. So I just sprayed some mold release in here, and I'm gonna let that dry, and we're gonna get on making the final casting for this seat anyway. The other one I started to pour last night. I got some more fiberglass today, so I'm gonna finish that, and I should have 2 molds ready shortly. The first test, hopefully it works. It's working. That looks cool, huh?
That looks dope.
All right, do it. So the first one I made, it looks awesome, but I don't like where the holes are gonna end up to mount this thing. It's kind of too far back. And I wanted to upholster the seat up to here and cover the holes with upholstery, but that means I got to make the mold longer. So we did that really quick. We added 1.5 inches to the actual mold so that this fits again. Made another one, and now I'm working on the foam. So this is the slightly longer version, and I'm just trying to get the foam shape down right now. I taped it off just so I don't scratch it up. This is the idea for now. I gotta do a couple more mods to the mold to make it all pretty. But now when we put this on, the holes are gonna be right at the back. I'm gonna hook the front under here. There. So the 2 holes are way back here now. So when I'm done with the upholstery, there's gonna be that little strap that we use that goes over later and gets Velcroed underneath just to cover the bolts that you're gonna put in. But it lines right up to those stock 2 holes in the frame. So you hook the front in, bolt down the back, put the strap back on, and should be something like that. Okay, I got this tracker style one kind of foamed up for now just to get a shape. So it's gonna fit kind of like this, and you'll still be able to use the the frame holes here for your signals. Let me see. So yeah, just trying to get the shape at the front here where I like it before we try to make a pattern for this. The cover itself has foam in it also, so it's going to be a little bit bigger when it's all said and done, but this one's looking kind of sweet. On this one, I laid a bunch of fiberglass in the mold here, so I popped it out. This will be the harder mold that I can use on the vacuum form machine in the future. I'll support any air spots underneath with chunks of wood and stuff, but I mean, it's hard as hell, and it's definitely going to be able to withstand a whole bunch of seat making. Now I have to make patterns for all these seats so I can actually do upholstery. So what I do is I'll draw out my shape on here first, and I use this is like somewhat transparent, kind of like a carpet or hardwood floor under padding. You can use whatever you can kind of see through, but I lay it on and I can actually see the line, trace out all the parts that I need. This is the first test anyway, so I have to make all the pieces, transfer that to leather or something, and try to start seeing if these will come together. This machine is doing the top stitch that goes on top after we've already sewn the inside. We have to flip it over, and you could do a French seam or you can do a top stitch, which this is what we usually do. So I'm just going to stick with it because it's our style. That's kind of the back of the seat right there, but I have no idea if it's going to work until it's all done. This is for the diamonds or the pleats or whatever we're doing. It's a 1/2 inch. You can use quarter, you can do whatever you want, but this is a really good, really dense 1/2 inch. We need to glue this to here, and then we'll start sewing whatever color we're doing. This is going to be black, but regardless. Okay, so I got part of the back and I got the centerpiece. I need the front, which is going to go on last. So now I have to sew all this together and top stitch this first, and then I'll put this on last. I got to double check the length, but I can do that after this is sewn together. Okay, so we'll put a little glue here. Try to get this thing to fit. Okay, I got this on roughly just glued on for now so I can see what's what. Still got chalk on it and stuff, but this is the rough idea for now. Just see how things fit. Looks pretty good. I don't know about this seat though, if I'm going to be making these or not, because to make the foam and shape it all by hand for now is kind of a pain. And if I do the molded liquid foam, it would probably cost too much money. So, but the other seat is coming along nicely. Let's see what happens, but it's kind of the idea for this one. I still got to pull it over properly and staple it all in, but it's just pulled loosely right now and glued on just to hold it in place. So I got this one all upholstered and finished. Looks pretty cool. This one's going to be using, let me see here, studs at the back that'll go through the frame and the hook at the front. The hook's going to be shorter than this, but this is the first one I made, so I was testing things out. But so this is kind of the prototype for one seat. I also did the same and finished the tracker. So this will be the tracker style, and this one has the little hook at the front, and there's going to be actually bolts that come out from under this strap. So you're going to put this on, there's going to be 2 bolts in it. The strap's going to cover the 2 bolts. So let's get these on the bike and see what they look like. So this model will work with the plastic inner fender also. The other one won't because it's in the way. You'll have to either trim this fender just so it's flush with the frame here, or a second option would be to leave it on, heat it up with a heat gun, and just kind of squish it down a bit. But to trim it off wouldn't be that big of a deal, and it's still held in over here. So this one would hook in at the front with the studs at the back going through here. You just got to line them up. And then you would put the nut on the bottom. So that's pretty straightforward. And I haven't done anything to the frame. I still have all the parts on. I haven't cut anything yet, so let's check it out. Actually looks pretty good on the bike. Anyway, that is a somewhat foamed, and there's a little bit of cushion there if you had to have somebody on the back. The other one obviously is a solo seat, but that's one option. So let's check out the tracker option. Okay, the tracker seat has the bolts in the back with rubber spacer mounts, so they're flexible, and the front hook. So same deal, but the inner fender needs to be either cut or removed. So I'm just gonna push it down out of the way for now. Hook the front, and then same deal, line up the back 2 bolts and put a nut underneath. And there you go. So this guy does want this one on the bike, I believe, so I will remove the inner fender and put the final hardware on. So this is what it looks like on the bike. And again, this is the very first prototype. I will do a little bit more foam work on the front for production seats. But it looks pretty cool. I'm gonna make a universal version of this seat also, which is gonna be shorter. and it'll probably have the standard bolt mounts that just I use on my other seats, with several options of threaded inserts in the seat, so you can put it on whatever you want at that point.